All right. We're back, and this time we're going to do Space Quest 5, Roger Wilco in the Next Mutation. If you enjoy these videos that I've been doing, go ahead and break out the mop and give the old like button a clean. And then also, if you're so inclined, break out the Windex and give the notifications button a little squeeze. That way you get notifications every time one of my videos is made public. So right now, because there was a brief time I wasn't doing a lot with this channel, I had set up all these Sierra-related music videos to release at midnight Pacific Standard Time. So you always get that all the time, but I'm trying to be more consistent now, and I feel like I have been much more consistent with doing the Let's Play videos. I've been knocking out, I did King's Quest already, I did Leash Suit Larry, and I'm almost done with Space Quest because we're on Space Quest 5, and there is one more after this for Space Quest 6. So here we are, Roger Wilco, just did a little simulation thing, and he was yelled at by Quirk, who will be your bad guy in this fun little adventure of Space Quest 5. Space Quest 5 is different that in this game, it switched over to dynamics as to who actually released or published, I guess you could say, because it's still Sierra, but it was done through dynamics instead of the standard Sierra Online. And this is also the first time where Scott Murphy is not in the game. So the two guys of Andromeda have sort of come to an end at this point, because Scott Murphy is not involved in this game at all. This is simply Mark Crow and that team there. So here we are with Roger Wilco. He learns that there is a test, and what you need to do here is glance over at your buddy with the big brain, and you'll see the answers in a really small window, so you just select the answers that he is selecting, and you'll pass. Do anything otherwise, unless you're really good at guessing, you're not going to pass, and you're not going to get very far. Then when you do the last answer, the test will come to an end. And they say, hey, Roger, while you're at it, go out there, get the mop and stuff, and go clean the Federation sign. The StarCon sign, I should say. Not Federation. There's a huge parody on Star Trek in every regard. There's so many, like, Star Trek references. Even the attire they're wearing is very Star Trek-esque. So there we go. We've gone into the closet. We've gotten the little thingamajig that spins and cleans. And we got the cones to make sure that it's safe, that people don't walk on the wet floor. Everyone pretty much tells you to buzz off. So you head over here. And she's clearly playing a video game, but she looks very important over here. Then you head down. And you can see sort of the StarCon logo. You're going to want to set up the cones. And I remember when I first played this, my buddy Sean and I, we had played this and we couldn't figure out for the life of us how to really control the cleaner. We were like flying everywhere, but it's actually much easier now than I remember when we originally played. I feel like when we originally played it, we were like sliding everywhere. But I was able to get this pretty cleaned pretty quickly. And when you do, Quirk shows up. And in a minute, you're about to recognize someone who is an ambassador. And when you look at her, oh my, it's supposed to be Beatrice, who we saw in Space Quest 4. So if you watch my playthrough or just the non-commentary version, you know that Roger Wilco, in the future of some kind, hooks up with Beatrice. And together they have a son. No idea if they get married. I don't even know if marriage is a thing in Space Quest, but they eventually do have a son who is Roger Jr., who is the one that goes back and pulls Roger Wilco into the future to try to save Space Quest 12 from happening, to stop Valhalla from destroying everything. So we go back down because I could remember if we had to leave the cones, so I just figured I'd save it just in case something went terribly wrong, because it is Space Quest. If you do something wrong, they will punish you. But it tells you, leave the cones here, because someone might slip. Which you see, actually, Captain Quirk did slip when he came out there. And then we see the little rat go in there, and he's kind of looking around, gets shocked, and you see the shock throughout the entire base, so you know he's done something pretty major. Probably completely unintentionally, will have consequences. Which I actually, I don't get. I wonder because if you cheat on the test, you see Roger come back here. I love this scene where he walks by and then he runs back to the window and he's staring and then falls down the window. But if you're cheating on the test off the brain guy, you're going to pass. So I'm not sure what the implication of him chewing that cable was. I'd get it if you didn't cheat. Maybe it screws up the test that somehow miscalculates and says you passed. But, So if you know what the indication is of that rat chewing on the thing, feel free to mention in the comments, because like I said, I don't see a reason for it if you cheated and you're going to pass the test anyway. I can see once you finish that, you go out and people are starting to talk about the test. Now we have to go take a look and find where this test is at. It's along one of the walls, that's what I remember, so we're going to cruise around here for a second and see. Everyone's kind of looking now. You look at the test. Dun dun dun. Wilco, on behalf of the administration, we would like to congratulate you on receiving a perfect score. Boom. And the irony here, I get that they do a ton of Star Trek references, but I think it is kind of funny if you know Star Trek. And the whole meme with, if you wear a red shirt, you're as good as dead. And in Space Quest, if you're a captain, you get a red shirt. Or at least Roger does, because that's weird, because Quark has a purplish shirt. So I'm not sure. So I guess the color of the shirt does not matter. Or maybe it's the captain of a specific type. So for example, Roger Wilco becomes the captain of a trash ship, which looks like the front end of a vacuum. So we have a garbage scow. And one of the things I really like in this game, and you'll see it, is when Roger walks out and then back in, typically the two in the front here, you can see them doing something different. Like maybe one of them's playing, not ping pong, but I forgot what that game is called, where you have it on a ball and it's on a rubber band and you hit it against the board. Boing, 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 boing. Anyway, he does that type of stuff. And she's pretty sassy. Like if you talk to her, you'll find out she's been married a number of times, just like right there. And he says there's no time for that. And she says, okay, lobster boy. And he's honestly probably one of my favorite characters ever to appear in Space Quest. There was a time on the Sierra forums where I actually used his picture, but I changed the color. I can't remember what color I made it. It was like yellow or something. Because I really liked him as a character. And so if you try to use the hailing thing, he's like, get out of here, go do your job. And the thing is, so a lot of people might not know this if you're not from the US. I don't even know if they're all throughout the US or even if they're around anymore. But you'll see every time they do any kind of intercom exchange at the very end, it says powered by Sprint. Sprint was or is a telephone company or service provider that was at least here in the West Coast. I don't know how far across the US they were or if they were even global. So I was curious for those who were not from the US every time they saw Sprint, if they just thought it was like a Space Quest reference of something, but it's actually a real thing. And as Roger takes off, we see basically a female Terminator comes out of cloak and is tracking him. So we're off to our first mission. We're going to go pick up some trash that is floating in space. And once you get close, you say go to regular speed, and then you say activate RSS, which will capture the trash bag. Zoom. And there's Cliffy. He is your engineer guy. And he says there's some kind of creature that we picked up from that trash scow, and it's tearing stuff up. So we need to find him. Spoiler alert, we do find him, and he actually proves to be very vital to the story a little bit later. So is he in here? Nope, that's not it. So what you don't want to do is pull out a spark plug thing while the ship is going, because you'll kill yourself and everyone else in it. And bloop, there's the trash. And there's Spike. So he's extremely acidic. So it's a good thing to note. As he roams free, he will chew up parts of the ship that Cliffy will keep trying to repair. And I don't know if you don't do anything about it, if it is enough to end the game. And then there's a Cairo thing, or a freezing thing, sorry. I was looking at something else. There's a freezing thing that'll come into play later, and then we just saw Spike again. We're going to go through Cliffy's tools. and take a look. I don't know if you can hear in the background, my wife is watching TV. It is extremely loud. I can hear it. I don't know if it's being picked up on the mic when I record. That's what distracted me there for a second. So what I'm going to do is what I can put in inventory, I will, and then anything I can't, I'm going to sort over to the right so it's out of my way, so I can make sure to get everything that I need. There is a weird bug where at times you'll put it in the inventory and it just lays there and it doesn't give you a message. So if I can't put it in the inventory, I just haul it off to the side. And what's weird is the paper clips. They gave me a weird error, so I had to put it back, or exit out and then go back in, and then let me pick up not the paper clip, sorry, the hole puncher. There he is. He was just doing the thing with the thing. But it's hard to see because I've sped up my gameplay, because if you watch the non-commentary version of this, it is 6 hours and 15 minutes. And that is because when I play, I like to leave in what I mess up. So for example, in Space Quest 4, I went and I did a few things when I got to the floating store place. And one of the things I didn't do is go get women's clothing to get the money from the credit card. So I did all this stuff. I ran around. I did the skating rink a few times. I tried to basically get out. And I discover when I'm near the end of the game that there's something I should have bought back at the floating store. So I had to literally restore it, because when I went back, the women's clothing store was closed. So I literally spent 45 minutes playing a game that had dead-ended me, and I had no way to get around. So I had left that in. And same thing with Space Quest 5. In this version, I'll speed it all up. Everything's sped up. I even sped up some of the parts that I didn't speed up originally, just for the talking, because I don't want to talk about something for 3 minutes if I can talk about 30 seconds. But once the female Terminator catches up to me, which is about to happen really soon, I die a lot. She kills me several times, probably well over 10, 15 times. There was even a part, I think I trimmed it out, where I figured out what to do, where you have to climb up on something and use something to basically knock her out. And I climbed up there and did it, but when I was trying to do the thing that I was doing, nothing happened. So I literally left myself sitting up there for like 15 minutes real time, waiting for her to appear so I can trigger it. So here she is, and she says, you know what? You didn't pay for the thing, which is kind of cheesy because we already did that, right? We did that in Space Quest 4, where the Arnold Terminator shows up for the same exact reason. So she's here to say, you know what? You didn't pay for the whistle in Space Quest 2. I'm a nice robot. Either get off that ship in 5 minutes and face me, or I blow up your ship and everyone in it. So naturally, Roger, being the hero that he is like, I'm not going to let my crew die. Let's go on to here. And I couldn't remember if, when I had played this, if Cliffy had to be in the room to basically energize the energizer, which he doesn't, by the way. So I'm right now burning a lot of time that I probably shouldn't be burning, because she's only given us 5 minutes to get off the ship. So I believe this first time you're going to see, yeah, I ended up dying because I took too long wandering around. Cliffy does not have to be in the room to energize down. You basically just do the command and then tell the platform to energize, and it'll beam you down. So that was a mistake I'd made, because I could not remember if Cliffy actually was the one who hit the energize button, similar to Star Trek. So once again, here she is, blah, blah, blah. You didn't pay for the thing, but I'm going to meet you down at the planet, Hamana, or I'll blow up your crew. And they say, good luck, get out of here, please don't kill us. So Roger Wilco, once again, to try to be the hero. Ironically, Cliffy's in the room this time. So you can see I put Cliffy's here now. So I'm literally still couldn't remember where I was telling him, hey, do it. And then I just clicked on thing and then energized me down. So you beam down to the planet, and then it says, meanwhile, and she shows up, bloop, and now she flies, and now she's after you. I'm going to save the game as it got serious, because this part was painful. Now, I just want to point out right now, to the right, to go east over there, does not look like you can go east to me. And I literally walked around, this was part of the problem, I literally walked around several times without knowing that you could go that way. And something similar will happen a little bit later when something happens to Roger, he gets changed into something. I'm pretty sure where I need to go, and I'm clicking just above where I need to go. You actually need to click like where these bushes are to actually make it go. So, as I said, from here, I don't realize you can actually go east. So I keep just thinking there's a cave that cycles around. Just need to trick her somehow. And you see her invisible walking through the water, and that's what you need to happen to trigger how to beat her. But as you can see, I've not figured out yet that I can go to the right. And it's literally by accident, when I was clicking the mouse, that it went to the right. And I literally saved the game as son of a. And I just saved it as yeesh because I keep dying. So I figure I'll save over here on this side. Try to go up. And you see she's invisible. She walks on the water. All right, so now I'm going to try to come across here. Nope, dead again. So I said, this is why the original, and I thought, okay, maybe if I speed it up, I can move quicker to get out of the way, which was an issue with the Space Quest 4 with the skating rink. I had to turn it up all the way to actually move fast enough for the sequel police not to shoot me. So I turn it up and then sped up. So now we're going to try to do this again. So clearly, you can tell at this point I'm not using a walkthrough, or else I would have known what to do here. I only use a walkthrough twice in this game. Once is for where I told you Roger Wilkie gets turned into something. I know where to go, but it's not letting me, and I discover that you have to click a very specific area. On the screen where I was clicking, there's a small spot you need to click. I was clicking just above it. So I looked for that, and then I also looked because there's a portion later on in the game where Roger ends up in a maze. And when I did Space Quest 3, and I think it was just 3, I mapped out. See, I thought I could cross the thing, which you can't. You fall, but then you get a wrench. Now things are coming together. But I did it in Space Quest 3 where I was wandering around forever, mapping the damn thing, dying frequently. And Space Quest 5 was already tapping out at the time before I cut some stuff down. It was already at 7 hours worth of gameplay. So I thought, I am just going to look through how to get through this damn maze, because I don't want to map this maze and add another 2 hours of gameplay and make it a 9-hour video. Because already when I trimmed it down to 6 hours, it was a 47 gigabyte file to upload, which took a while. And it finished sometime last night, and it's now 2 in the afternoon, and YouTube is still processing the high definition version of it. So it's been processing for a long time now, well over 12 hours. So right now, if you watch it, you only get like the 480 DPI or whatever version of it. So here I am. You can see that I've climbed up and I've figured it out. I accidentally clicked on the hand. He says, okay, I'll climb up here. And I got the stick, and I'm thinking, all right, we use the stick to budge. But for some reason, it's not working. Like, I am clicking on the stick, I'm clicking on Roger, I'm clicking around. Nothing is doing it. Nothing at all. So I figure, you know what? It might be time to reset this and go back around. But I'm clicking. I'm literally furiously clicking right now. And you see Roger moves a little. So I've got the right idea, but because, and I don't know why it is, I think I have to go down. I think to trigger it, because you can see she's not walking across the water where you see her, just her feet while she's invisible, and you don't see her under the waterfall briefly. So I think you actually have to go to trigger it. I don't realize this because you can see me furiously clicking. You can see, so I thought, okay, let's do a banana to maybe loosen it, but that doesn't do it. So stick, nope. So despite my furious clicking, what I'm going to do, because I think what you have to do to trigger it is have to go all the way down, make her show up, climb back up, jump across, and then I screwed up. I should have went up. So now go back down, trigger her to show up, climb back up, jump up, now climb up, and then now the stick thing should work. And there you go. So once you do that, it hits her and she falls back. And I thought, oh, cool, I got her. Like, this is it. I don't need to worry about her droid defeated, question mark. Because I'm not 100% certain because it is Space Quest. So usually when you destroy something, there's something left. So I'm going to go ahead and head back. And sure enough, guess who's really ticked off now? So now I have to figure out how to beat her. And as you can see, I went to go into the cave and it accidentally went over. And so she shows up and says, hey, you know what? I'm here to kill you. Show your face. And then she flies off. So I notice every time she shows up, we're going to do the Eddie Murphy thing where he puts the banana in the tailpipe. Boom. And over there, now you see a metallic head. So now we just said defeated again. Because, you know, we have a head now. So at least we should know that we've beat her. So we should be good. So we're going to go ahead and cross over. And this is where she parked her ship. So when I put nah as the save game, I was thinking nah. So this isn't the way off. So Roger realizes it's a cloaked ship, and I'm just clicking the head to see if the head does a command thing to open the ship. But clearly does not. Furiously clicking the hand around, knowing that's an invisible ship, doesn't do anything. So what I'm going to try to do is just make my way back down, and oh hey, Cliffy's there. And he says, oh cool, let me collect the remains, I'll reprogram her, and we'll make her like a part of our crew. And Roger pretty much says, I don't know about that. So he says, hey Cliffy, I got something for you to get ahead. Because he has her head. And he said, hey, here's a souvenir from her part. So it might just be something I missed because I did not get full score. I know I didn't. So, me being funny, head given, LOL. If you don't get the joke, kids, don't worry about it. Do not tell your parents where you heard that joke either. That's what it's for. That's right. Just literally reminded myself. It's remote. So I'm trying to click on the ship, but you don't. It's funny that I couldn't remember what it was, and it's used literally right after. But you click on yourself, there it is. And like I said, in that save game, I do not remember this. Like this whole part with the ship, a lot of the older a lot of the older Sierra games, I have a lot of it just from repeatedly playing. I have a lot of it not committed 100% to memory, but it's very familiar to me. Like I kind of remember stuff. But everything from when we beamed back down, I wasn't even sure if that was the right thing to do. That was just random. But when Cliffy said, I'll go with you, I was like, oh, okay, so something's going down. So again, that's probably why I couldn't remember the control. And this thing, I'm going to tell you, I eventually get it open. But as you can see, I'm just furiously clicking at different things, trying to figure out what opens what. If there is a pattern to opening this thing, I do not know what it is. And I don't know if that timer ever actually does run out or not. But I did end up getting it opened, as you see. And then Roger goes down there and says, we got to go. And I love that shot where it's all white and then it's just a shadow. If there's a pattern to opening that thing, feel free to tell me in the comments, like what the pattern is, because I was just randomly clicking away, as you can see in the gameplay, not even knowing. Nothing made sense to me when I was trying to figure out what potential pattern it could be. So it was just a lot of clicking, a lot of trying different things, and eventually got it all open. So. And as the save game says, that was pure luck. So Spike keeps showing up every time you go into the engineer's room with Cliffy. I love that scene where he just falls right through. And what I was trying to do is hit the trash button to see if the trash would fill it and if I would still fall through. And yes, he does. So Spike shows up every time you go into Cliffy's engineering room. And he'll yell at you saying, hey, can you do something about that creature of yours? So we're going to go back and we're going to go get Spike. And the thing is, I already kind of knew what to do with Spike because he's acidic, and one of the things you pick up from Cliffy's toolbox is antacid. So I was assuming we just give Cliffy the antacid because I couldn't remember exactly what sedated him. And then I realized, hey, there's that container next to the freezing chamber, which the freezing chamber we won't use till later. But the red containment thing there is for Spike. So what we have to do, see, we got the antacid. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and put Spike in there. And I couldn't figure out if, you had to put the antacid somewhere else. So every time you open it, all right. So at first, that's right. I thought just putting him in there was enough, but he gets out. So you have to walk out, he chews some stuff, go back in, take a few steps forward, he'll appear again, which allows you to catch him all over again. So yeah, so you have to put him in there and the antacids at the same time, because if you try to do it separately, he climbs out and jumps in your face. Now it'll say he looks content, but he's actually not until you do the antacids. And I was thinking that somehow the antacids go separately, but they actually go in at the same time. I'll figure that out here in a second as I am trying to think how to do this. All right, here we go. We put Spike in, we put the antacids, and it even says, oh, that should help with his tummy ache and his metabolism. So now we can save it correctly as Spike is set. Or I can. You can call it whatever you want if you're playing Space Quest 5 and doing this along with me. All right, so we're going to go for a status report. Flo says, hey, let's get some R&R. If you have the copy protection guide, you'll know there is a spacebar, so that's where we're going to head next. Spoiler alert, we're going to see Quirk there with an alien that we saw earlier talking some weird stuff. And also, Cliffy's about to get into some trouble. And Roger's about to save the day again with some rather ingenious thinking. So we need to standard orbit. For some reason, it was weird. Like I was telling him standard orbit, and he wasn't clicking standard orbit. So, and boop, since we were not in standard orbit, he died. So restore back to where I just gave Cliffy his stuff. Or, god damn it, gave Spike the antacids. And let's do some R&R. So status check, R&R. Set a course for the spacebar. Let's go. All right, we're approaching our destination. Go down to regular speed. And there we are. So let's go ahead and do standard orbit. Standard orbit, and now you can see it's properly in place. And they're actually taking off. Droll is the man, so we're going to go ahead and take off with him. And your crew clearly does not want to wait for you. They've already taken off, so you can look around, jump on, and join your crew. And good old Cliffy basically says he sees someone, and Droll is like, not good. So up there you can see Quirk in the upper right hand corner with the weird looking alien that we saw at the beginning of the game when we intercepted the transmission. And if you go over here to the right, you'll see that it is like a jail cell area, and they'll mess with you and say, yeah, no, go ahead. And you get shocked. You want to shoot them, but you can't. So you come back out and kind of look around. And there isn't a lot you can do here, so we're going to go ahead and join our comrades, and we'll get a drink. It's interesting that Roger's the only one who orders what is actually a well-known drink. The other two, those may be drinks somewhere, like somewhere in the United States or around the world, there might be a drink called the Green Goblin. But so this guy shows up and he says, "Hey, you know what? I do like trades and stuff," and he's going to give you a business card and some sea monkeys, both of which obviously are going to come in handy. Even though Roger keeps saying, "I don't think, nope." And he goes, "Dehydrated space monkeys." And he's like, "I'm not sure." And he's like, "You drive a hard bargain, Raj. Here's one. Just take it. Here's my business card in case you need anything else." And he moves on to look for someone else. And then Quirk shows up. He's like, "Oh, well, look who it isn't. Buzz off, laser brain." So these two, and this is something that I thought was very weird. This is a very big change for Roger Wilco. He goes from a very subdued kind of loser making his way through sheer chance to actually standing up for himself and stuff like that. Now, the one thing I want to say that's super ironic, I won't go into a lot of detail, but my wife recently had some health issues, and so I recently bought Battleship, which helps mentally with things. And so I just bought it, and ironically, the day after, as I'm playing Space Quest, I totally forgot that we do basically a spaceship version of Battleship. And you're going to see the little hand with the fast forward motion going back and forth and stuff like that. That is not part of the game. That's something I insert, which means I've sped up what I've sped up already. So I've sped up my gameplay, right? So it's not 6 hours and 15 minutes, but I sped up this part even more because this took a long time to do. So I just wanted to speed it up. And the first round, Quirk actually beats me. So I don't feel very confident that I'm gonna be able to beat my wife, who I bought Battleship for, who has had some recent mental issues and stuff like that. I'm afraid she's gonna kick my butt. So, but I will go back and I'll re-challenge. I'll restore and then challenge him again, and I'll beat Quirk the second time, but literally just barely. I think he had 2 more shots, and he was already hitting my last ship, and he had 2 more shots, I think, and he would have won. So you can lose to this game. It just gives him the boasting rights, and I don't think there's any other implications other than every ship you have that survives is points. So you can see we're firing away at one another, and Quirk is about to win this game. Boom. And we see Cliffy getting in a fight. He says, "I'm fighting him because he called it a garbage scout." And you're like, that's what it is. But then the cops are like, "Well, we have to arrest him now." So Quirk and his partner disappear. So I'm going to save it here, and I'm going to try to beat Quirk and see if that's possible. So once again, we're going to sit down, trigger everything, get the drinks, blah, blah, blah. The vendor guy will show up with the sea monkeys and the card. And then Quirk and I will go to spaceship battle once again. All right, here we go with another round of Battle Cruiser. So I quickly go through the rules. I don't think I did that the first time. So just basically says pick sectors and lay your ship. You can rotate them, do whatever. The first time I put them all on one sector because I wasn't sure how good Quirk was, or perhaps just how bad I was. So now we're going to go ahead and fast forward the fast forward and just watch this play out. Alright, so it goes back down to slow speed, and boom. That was Quirk's last ship, so I won that round, and the same fight goes down What's going on, Cliffy? He called us. He said we run a garbage cow, but we do. Oh yeah, I forgot. All right, I've had enough. Throw him in the cell. You can't do that. I will. Arr. So there goes Cliffy. So now we need to get Cliffy out of jail. Quirk disappears. So now we need to figure out, how do we get him out? Let's go talk to our comrades, see if they've got some plans. And Flo mentions like, hell, Quirk was talking to that weird alien we saw on the intercom, which I pointed out he was in the upper right. And Droll's like, hey man, we need to get Cliffy out. Whatever we need to do, I'll do. Which is funny because Droll actually doesn't really help with the escape. But he'll help Roger out later against some mutated people. So now we need to figure out what to do. So if we go in here where Cliffy was taken, the guards are still there. So if I leave, come back, they're still there. So it's not a matter that they walk away. Something needs to be done. If you talk to the alien up close, you get some characters in colorful colors, and he says, my, what colorful language. So what you do now is I don't know if you are old enough to remember sea monkeys. They used to be in comic book panels being advertised in magazines as well. As sea monkeys are essentially a form of shrimp, really. You put them in the water and they come alive. They don't come alive, they're already alive. And they spread rapidly in your tank. And so that's the idea here is you put the sea monkeys in your alcohol and they go crazy. So none of the buttons, just unlock it because that would be too easy. Any ideas? Nope. We'll need some way to basically get these bars open. You know what would be a good idea? Hey, Spike. Spike would be a great idea. You know who doesn't have Spike with him right now? Me. So I gotta run back to the ship. The sea monkey's going crazy. Go get Spike. Alright, it's enough. Come on, Spike, let's go. Teleport down. Since we know he is acidic and eats these bars, we're going to put Spike on there. Bam, bam, bam. And, ironically, Spike ends up helping Cliff, who has been bitching about Spike the entire time, and he says, finally has some uses. And it's pretty funny. In normal speed, Cliffy walks really slow. And I'm literally like, hurry up. And at that time, he says, I'm hurrying, I'm hurrying. So they time that pretty damn well for people to be like super impatient, like, we have to get off this place, hurry up. And then for him to actually say, I am hurrying. It's pretty good. All right, so now we see Spike is back and WD-40 is up and functional. So you talk to her and she says everything's going according to plan. I am functional. Everything's good. So now one of the things I want to point out that I literally did not realize until right about now, I think, on the ship or a little bit after this, is where Roger's right hand is positioned, where you can see the green, orange, and red button. Those are actually buttons that work. You can actually flag people for information. And I think I was just clicking around when I accidentally triggered it. And I was like, oh, damn. So that was good to know. So we're at a new planet that we have some frequencies from. There seems to be some kind of jamming going on. All right. Scan planet. She gives you information about scanning the planet. And she gives recommendations like you should send an away team to head down there. That seems like it's just going to be us. Or more so Roger and whoever might come. So you hail Sarkon and that's who shows up. Quirk, who is about to have a really bad day. And he makes a joke about Uranus, and Droll says, well, he's back to his charming self. And he says, this looks suspicious. I'll head down there with you. So Droll's going to head down to this planet where you're about to learn the dark secret of Space Quest 5 and the main story. This, once again, has a screen where you have to walk a specific way to get there, or else it won't work. This one was pure chance when they mentioned this. Well, I'll talk about it when I get there. So you can see like it's a little deserted thing. You click on the hand, you go inside. You can see everything looks deserted. Go walk around and that'll take you right back outside. So I save it as odd, like there's no one here. Can't really seem to do anything around here. So let's go back in here and take a look at stuff. So the humidifiers. Oh, console. Well, who doesn't love a good console? Let's save first because usually things go wrong. Uh-oh, it's a mutant. And he says, well, you're pretty, aren't you? Maybe you'll be as pretty as me when I spit on your face with my loogie. And if he hits you just once, that's it. You mutate. So thankfully I'd saved it right before touching the console, and this takes a few tries before I get it right. And I realize you have to actually time it because he's going to spit whichever way you're facing. So almost had it that time. Here we go again. I'm going to spit on your face. I'm going to try to save right before. Oh, did not do it. Oh, did not do it. Oh, did not do it. There we go. There we go. There we go. Oh, yeah. Doing good. Pew, pew, pew. Thanks, Troll. He's a real looker. Meet you out back, Captain. He's undergoing some kind of change, and oh, he looks normal again. And he looks like the guy that was in the meeting with your chica. So there's a note that comes off that says 80869. So now we're going to try the computer thing again and enter in an access code, 80869. Boom. So we're going to hit next a few times until we hear the good old chime of points and we know we found what we need. You can read it if you want. It's a lot of text. Essentially, doing some tests here. We got some soup and I think we found a cure. Having suspicion about the colonists now. People are dying. So now we know something is up with some weird soup, and the guy had said the secret path. So now to find the secret path, so we go over here, and you can see a canister right there, and it says from here you can't really tell what it is, but you can see a canister, and you can see from here it does say something soup on the bottom, and the top says genetics. So you're like, okay, this is what I'm looking for, but I can't see it. And this hardly seems like a secret path, right? Like, this is where we started. So try to walk around here, and you just end up over there. Which means Droll also walked in a circle when he first left. So now we have to find the secret path. So I'm feverishly clicking around to find the secret path. I'm just trying to get close to that canister. All logic tells me that the secret path is to the east from here. Because that's where the canister is at, right? So why would you go west, which is further away from the canister, to see where the canister is? Did I just spoil it? Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the path is actually to the west, but not down there. No. No. I'm expending all my ideas, and then bam, by pure coincidence, I go up the path and hit west on the upper ridge, and it goes through. Now, if you look at it, it says it's a biohazard, and there's the corp number. It gives you 41666. 41666. Now you have a new destination that you can take. So now we need to be beamed up but it's not communicating. So help me up, anyone? Let's move up here a little bit, try it, and that does it. You have to be exactly where you were when you beam down. So you beam up, check with her, and she's like, yep, everything's cool. Now, did Droll already beam up? Because he said, I'll meet you out back. Oh, look, he's here playing games. Like, where were you, bro? You said you're going to be out back, and here you are playing games. And then when you come back, Quirk sends a message, and he's looking pretty nervous, and his jaw's looking a little twitchy, and he's looking a little weird. And you zoom in back, and something has definitely gone down on that ship. Spoiler alert, they had some soup from the genetics thing. So off we go. When we talk to WD, she says that the signal came from this planet, which is Thrakus. Most of these planets have a reference of some kind, like if you read them out loud. That one I don't know what the reference is. So if you know what the reference to Thrakus is, put her in the comments and let me know, because I'd love to know. Usually these are all like little references to things, and most of the planet names are easy to figure out. That one I did not know. So when you say scan, it says something is jamming us. So she says, send an away team down to the planet. The air is toxic, so please use a breather apparatus thingy, which we will find here in a moment. Again, I'll be very surprised if it is not picking up the background of the TV show my wife is watching, because it seems very loud, and I feel like I can watch the audio bars moving even though I'm not talking. So I think that's kind of funny. Could also be picking up my fish tank, and I've got a fan going in this room because this room gets really warm really fast. So what we're going to do is hit that button, head down, and in one of these compartments, one of them is oxygen, which I think I got last time when the female Terminator thing blew us up. But what we need is a breather. So I know it's in one of these compartments when I came down here. And when I said suit up, I couldn't remember if we were going to use those suits right next to the elevator or not. So let's take a look. There we go. So we pick up the breather. So it's not the suits. So now we need to get the elevator going. Let's try that again. Could have sworn I hit elevator. Let's try that. There we go. So now we go back up. Now what you want to do is before you head down, you want to put the mask on, but you have to be standing on the thing before you energize. There you see a pod, and this is going to be very similar to Space Quest 2, where you were first captured. You can't hear it now during the commentary version, but in the regular play version, you can hear a constant like beep, beep. It's a tracking thing, so you want to go in there. Well, let's take the jacket, because we have to move it to get to the tracking button. We'll turn off the tracker. There's nothing else to grab in here. So let's move around, take a look. Oh no, we're being attacked. And almost fall off the ledge. And Beatrice is hanging on to our pants. But hold on, there go the pants. Now she's falling. So what you got to do is give her the jacket you just grabbed to hold on to, and she can climb up. And during this suspenseful moment, she'll throw down a vine. And then I'm trying to tell Flo, we need to get out of here soon. We're being attacked. But Flo's like, can't do it from there. And so we go up. She teleports us, but Beatrice still gets hit. Now, unlike everyone else in the game, we see when Roger gets hit, it's instantaneous when he gets spit on. Beatrice gets shot with it, and she's like, yeah, I don't feel great. You need to do something before it spreads. So you actually have time, and she gives you this thing. It says, put me in the Cairo. How do you pronounce that, actually, now that I'm thinking about it? The Cairo chamber to basically put her in suspended animation. So she's in there now. And now what's so funny is I was not sure, this is why I'm saving. I was not sure how long to put her in there for, and no one would talk to me and say, here's recommended time. And I don't know, I can't remember if it was somewhere in the manual, but so we click Cairo freeze, Cryo. I feel like I should know how to pronounce this word, and I'm totally not remembering it. Anyway, so you put her in there and you freeze her, and I selected 10 seconds just as a starter, like, all right, 10 seconds do it? No, all right, let's do another 10 seconds. But actually 10 seconds was the right answer, so we successfully put her in suspended animation for now. I'm just going to call it suspended animation chamber, and we're good. So now, the next thing we need to do is figure out, well, we know something is going on the Goliath. Beatrice kind of alludes to that, and also, we just got shot at by the Goliath. So now we're going to tell Droll to take evasive action, and what you want to do is command him to go into the asteroid field, because the Goliath is huge compared to your ship, and your ship can sort of navigate through it. So you're going to basically say, go ahead and go into the asteroid field and get away. And she says we're being hailed, and look, it's Quirk, who is looking much worse than before. He's looking extremely slimy. And he says, you know, you won't get away from me, ha ha ha. And Cliffy's like, hey, you know what? I'm going to head out, I'm going to fix the ship, everything should be fine. Whoops, I hit the lights. I'm coming back. Oh, got hit. So there goes Cliffy. Damn it, Cliffy. Just floating out in space. Just out there all on his own, floating. So, yeah, I guess I'll go save Cliffy yet again. After he fought, I saved him from jail. Now I gotta go, once again, press red button, head down. This time we're gonna go in that fancy little ship. But before we do, we need to turn that thing around. First, though, yeah, I should point out, you want to get the oxygen tank. Head inside, turn around, head inside, and then go out. Then on the radar, save it here first, while I have full air, full gas, getting the feel for it. Side to side, up and down. Yep, got it. So Cliffy is the red dot. The green dot, I misunderstood when I was looking at this. The green dot ends up actually being the ship. So you don't want to go to the ship first, you need to find Cliffy. Cliffy is the red dot, not the green dot. So I thought green dot equals your target, red, and then the red dot would be the ship that you'll go to after, which would have turned green after you got Cliffy. Not the case. So now, just so you know, because I was having a hell of a time with this, and you can see slowly I'm running out of oxygen and fuel as I'm trying to figure out how to grab Cliffy. Now what you have to do, just said, target is in range, so you're like, cool. So, whoops, target it. Scroll it over. Uh-oh, we just lost Cliffy because we ran into him. Alright, so it has to be directly lined up to his chest. And then forward, and then you have to claw button the side. But unfortunately, we ran out of air and gas, and this is a unique death scene where it's two aliens watching. And it looks like the alien that we saw the transmission from that is also hanging out with Quirk and talks about the soup. So now we're actually going to do it right. We know that Cliffy is the red spot, and it's not going to change targets on the thing as to where I need to go. Cliffy's always going to be red. The ship's always going to be green. So we're going to move an inch in closer as our oxygen and fuel burns every time I make a movement. All right, it's now in range. Click the old thumb to grab Cliffy. Now let's head to the ship and ease this baby in. So I'm going to go ahead and save now that I'm close to the ship because I don't want to run into it, run out of fuel. And you don't actually have to land it, you just have to get close enough. And you drop good old Cliffy in. You ask him if he's okay, and he says, yeah, just let me catch my breath, which is funny because in space, you can't breathe. So of course, probably needed some breath by breathing all that air that he had left in his tank. So now we're back, still taking hits. So we just need to get out of here, and we're going to head for 41666, which we know is the lab for genetics, because we saw that on the side of the canister. All right, we're approaching. Let's go to regular speed. And there it is. Head into standard orbit. Now we know we're good because it is lined up to our ship. So let's head in down to the genetics lab, which is probably the worst part of the game. Well, if you exclude the maze. I did not enjoy this part of the game at all. So there's Bia. And also, quick side note. So I looked at Bia, and then it's every time I tried to tell the thing to energize, it says you better do something about her or she'll croak. I actually had to restore, not look at Bia, and then go to the energizer for this to work. And sort of work, because when he teleports you down, you interfere with a fly, and your body gets ahead of a fly and wanders off, and you become a fly. And you can kind of cruise around, and you see those lights. You're going to want to make note of those lights, which ones interfere with the lock thing. So you can go here. Now you see the genetics, which is the dynamics logo. And you can go back. See how when you move the lights, some of those triggers do something. So we're going to fly around here for a moment. And I tried to land on the communicator and talk, but the fly is not heavy enough to trigger the button to talk. So we're going to fly around again some more. Walk through the lights. Fly around, look at the controls. And at this point, I have no idea what I'm supposed to do to basically restore Roger's body back to normal or be able to talk on the communicator or anything. This part of Space Quest 5, I also could not remember. So just like when it was the female Terminator ship, none of that was familiar to me. Couldn't remember any of that. All the stuff before that, yes. And then everything from after the female Terminator ship, when we get off that planet, right up to when we fly down to the genetics lab, all fairly ingrained in my brain. The genetics lab portion, completely could not remember what to do. I just remember there's information you get, and that was it. I don't remember turning into a fly or anything like that when we landed here. So this was, in a way, kind of cool because it was sort of like playing a new game. But the part where I was figured out what to do because I see something on the camera and trying to fly there proved to be very frustrating. And if you go to the Sierra Help forums, which is sierrahelp.com/forums, there's a thread I made for talking about my playthrough of Space Quest 5, and I literally ranted in frustration about this portion of the game. Like, could not for the life of me. Like, I'm just flying around trying to figure out what to do. There's so little it feels like Roger can do. And it turns out this is pure chance. Like, I was flying by the communicator thinking someone would show up, But that's not what happens. What actually ends up happening is I'm flying by the communicator, a frog jumps out of the water. So these are things that are, I think they're detrimental to the Space Quest game because they are a timed thing. Like I would normally not have sat there and waited for a frog. There's no indication that a frog would leap out. Like if a frog's going to jump out to trigger the communicator, it should happen instantly. Like as I'm flying right there, the frog should just immediately jump out. It should not be timed that you have to be sitting there for 30 seconds or whatever. So now I'm taking note of what is triggering the locks there because I know that's going to come into play here when I was playing this. But now I've managed to talk to Flo because the frog landed on the communicator, pressed the buttons. And so now we're just going to go through here, the different systems, and there we go. So now we're on camera 1. We see the flyhead. Oh, and now Cliffy and WD-40 are here looking for us. So now we can go through the activity log and just kind of look at stuff that's happened here. And what's annoying is you have to walk off and then back on to the next or previous button. It just won't, you can't just click it again to hit next like you normally would with the Roger Real Close hand. So that was annoying. Walk off, walk on, walk off, walk on. So it wouldn't be so annoying if it was like just 1 or 2 pages you had to go through, but when you have to go through like 8 pages to find out about the primordial soup and what impact it has, which is just now, it just did the to know that, hey, we're on the right screen. This is very important. So I thought that was very detrimental towards the game for the frog, and then the ability to not control the fly well. I get it, it's supposed to be funny, you're a fly and you're just kind of zooming around, but have you ever tried to swat a fly? Like there's a fly just flying around you and you try to swat it. Do not flies have the best dexterity? Like you try to towel whip them and with a wet towel, and 9 out of 10 times that they'll dodge it. So it's very odd that you're a fly and you can't fly exactly where you're trying to fly. You're just flying in random circles all the time, which is what happened for the next part. Like I said, we looked at the security footage. We do see a screen that we've not seen yet. It's a dumpster up against a mountain. So there's not a lot of screens we can move to because obviously it's not inside, so we know it's back outside. You can't go further east. So now we know it's somehow west. So what you'll see me do is I'll fly up as to try to indicate Roger does not want to go into the small cave, but up high as if around the mountain. Nah, it's not what you do. You have to click on this little green area. But anyway, we're going to fly out. We've taken note of what the locks do. There's Cliffy, and what you're going to want to do is land on Cliffy, and you land on his nose, and you're like, hey, it's me, and he's like, whoa, and you tell him, hey, something is wrong with the communicator. And so she says, hey, you know what, I'll go scan around the area, and you say, hey, I've seen the camera footage, I know where he is. So there I am clicking right above the grass, and you see he keeps walking east, because I'm walking up. Keeps doing this back and forth, like there's no way over there to click over there, there's no further west there, can't go east, but I'm going to go ahead and try now that I've seen the camera footage. Maybe it'll let me, but no. So once again, we're going to try to fly. I'm clicking up high, but nope, he goes in here. Clicking up high, nope, but he goes here. And you can see I clicked just above the green bushes. I'm literally trying to just escort him through going west. So we're going to go back, and I click on the green bush, and boom, he goes through. And there's the funky Roger. And we're going to do a little teleport. Zoom, 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 zoom. Land on him, and you're back. It says everything normal. Well, I just want to jump in the trash and lay around. Let me tell you, that whole thing with the fly, I was frustrated. Like I had ceased enjoying the game. I edited out what I called the save game. But when I restore or when I save, you may see it pop up real quick, like right there, where it's like, this is blanking. Basically, I asterisked, this is effing annoying. So we made note of what the card thing does, and I did these 4, but it's going to be, you'll see in a moment, And I accidentally clicked the wrong one. Exit. Let's try that again. So I'm going to try these 4 because those are the 4 that I saw triggered, but that's not what you want. Hey, I'm going to reset the puzzle. So it turns out you have to do the reverse. So it's essentially you create an X, and this is what you want. And it opens up the side door, and Goliath says, you know what, hey, you know what, that looks kind of dangerous. So go ahead and head down there. And I saved the game. I did it backwards because I originally looked at the block backwards. This is another thing where the walking mechanic bothered me. As you see, I'm just kind of looking at everything first before I head down. There's a black button. If you click it, it gives no description. Like nothing at all. If you try to put the hand on it, it says, nope, you're not close enough. So I literally move right to it. I'm trying to get on the stand, and you see it happen 2 or 3 times where he goes up and down to try to get up there. Like he'd go up and then walk back down. He'd go up, walk back down. He'd go up, walk back down. And it was really, I don't know if it's a bug or quirky, but it just seemed like that could have been handled much better. So anyway, you tell Cliffy that you got some, oh my gosh, it's like not dry ice, but something similar to that. I totally forgot what it's called. But it says, let's do that. We've found out that the mutates are weak against cold. Spike seems to be telling us a message here where he's jumping on her thing, then jumping on the energize, jumping on her thing, jumping on the energize. And you have some options here as to what you could be. Like Roger even goes so far as someone fell down a well, the mill is on fire. So one of them is clearly the correct answer, which is the longer one. And there we go. So, ironically, I went to not actually pick her up. I wanted to press the buttons to defrost her, but apparently that read it as, no, you want to pick her up out of the thing versus I want to just press the damn buttons. So, whatever. So, restore. Let this whole thing with Spike happen all over again. Once you guess, jumps on you, you put him in there. We're going to save just in case I accidentally touch it. So we're going to defrost for 10 seconds, I assume, because that's how long I put her in. Seems to say it's successful. So we're going to go ahead and pick her up now, put her down now that she's defrosted, and give the energize command, and boom. She's like, oh, I feel weak, but, you know, definitely much better. It feels like I've been cured. And then she burps. And then you're like, she says, let me rest up. So you put her in there because apparently there are no beds on the ship. Okay. So you put her back in there. And this is going to be important later because something's going to happen to the ship and you have to quickly remember to do something, which I almost forgot, which would have impacted her and Spike. But I did remember as I looked at the screen, I was like, oh, damn. So we'll get to that in a moment. That's closer to the end of the game, which we're almost to. We are almost to the end of the game. All right. So now the next thing we're going to have to do, I need more power. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to find out where the Goliath ship is. All right, so we're trying to figure out the status, and we're going to ask a few people, see if anyone knows. So saving the game is find Goliath. So there it is. She just said it's in the vicinity of the quadrant known as gingivitis. Look at the manual, put in the code, and we're on our way. Let's go to light speed. We're approaching regular speed. And she says we're approaching it. My calculations show it's here. So quickly you tell, hey, Cliffy, before it sees us, cloak the ship. So you cloak it, and WD-40 will tell you, hey, our ship can't handle this thing. You're better off going into the little thing they used to save Cliffy. So that's what we're going to do. First, we're going to go over here, though, and talk to Cliffy about the Goliath. And we'll see what quadrants or what areas of the ship are best to approach. All right, so now we can kind of see the ship, and you click on the eye, and Cliffy gives you a rundown of each area of the ship. So, it'll say, there's too many mutates there, there's gravitation there, the engines would fry you. There's literally just one spot you can land. So we're going to go ahead and try this because we're Roger Wilco, and we've saved the universe several times now. So let's go ahead and do this. And a little quick dialogue. This is always kind of fun that you talk to your crew. And you say, do you think I'm balding? He says, it's really hard to tell because your bald spot's blinding me. So that's a yes. Which is funny because Roger does not look like he's balding at all, as opposed to Larry Laffer. So we're going to turn that thing around, and then we're going to jump into it. Now you're going to want to make sure you have Cliffy's tool, the little heat gun thing, because you're going to need that here in a second to even get into the Goliath. So we fly over there, hopefully connect to the right area. And this took me a second because none of the controls were really showing any kind of button. I would assume that the thing is open, or that the doors for this thing are closed. So there it goes, it's open, but nothing there shows any like on off. So we're going to use the gun, cut it open, kadank, and we are here. So you're going to want to, if you walk in and it looks clear, give it a second, because this guard will come through and he'll walk, and as soon as he turns his back, you can basically start walking. You're going to want to go over here, and similar to Space Quest 4, there's a computer you're going to have to interface with, and it says drive offline, but if you check your inventory, you have something that actually fits that. Now, it seems counterproductive right now as to why you would do that, because you are here to pretty much stop the ship. So why would you want to drive online? Well, it's kind of like foretelling. You're going to need it pretty soon. So now what we have to do is hopefully get across here. All right, cool. We're here. And Ghostbusters, because of the slime reference all over the ship. So look around, it's all slime. All right, let's go into the grate. Now, here is where I did use a walkthrough because I didn't want to deal with the map, but I still managed to die once. I didn't want to deal with mapping out the whole maze, so I just looked at the directions, and I'll put the directions in the comments. Like I'll say map directions and say all the letters in uppercase are a direction or whatever, similar to what Lead Shoot Larry did to get you through the bamboo maze. But yeah, I did not want to map out a whole maze all over again and spend, as I said earlier, like another potentially 2 hours mapping this out when the gameplay at the time before I even trimmed it the first time was already at 7 hours. So that would have made this fit my non-commentary 9 hours. So when you turn off all the stuff, you get caught. WD-40 shows up, says run over here. This is part of our plan that Cliffy had mentioned before you beam down. He says hide. Now you want to get everyone on the transporter. So I'm saving it right here because of timing. And it seems like it's a good time, but nope, I get shot. So let's try it again. So I'm hiding. Seems like a good time. Nope, I get shot. So apparently you want to wait till he goes on there, not say anything, and then say it. So he has to get on the transporter and not move that one guy that was coming in from the left. Once you do that, you save them, but you find out Quirk has teleported away driven away in the escape pod, and he's driven into the slime and becomes the huge slime. So you teleport back to your ship and are like, all right, well then let's just vacuum him up because that's what we do with trash. So your crew's there and you're like, all right, fire at it first to get it off the ship because it's attacking. So you decloak, you attack it, and it's coming for you. Now do the summon up in the trash. And the problem is the capacity is now way over. So now there's a button there, that last button that we've not touched. It's a self-destruct button. So they say, hey, it's been great serving with you. If you don't get off on time, you have 10 minutes to get off this ship before it blows up. And it's 10 minutes real time, I believe. So I'm about to leave right here when I'm like, oh, wait. Circuit piece is out. Also, Beatrice and Spike are still in the thing. So let's get them out as well. Let's save both of them. Try to energize it for her, but it doesn't. And you can see the trash stuff is coming through, and you can see the broken thing, which you would have gotten from Cliffy's lockbox. So make sure you're looking at the right one. Replace it. Oh no, the slime is busting through. The hand's in the way. You just need to click over it, and he'll actually jump over. So it's like, oh yeah. So she goes, boom, ship is starting to explode. Let's get Spike. Spike, you're using precious time. Let's get off this ship. Energize. So you energize back down onto the Goliath and say, warp speed to get out of here before that thing blows. And you do. And you and your crew manage to get away, and Beatrice is alive and well. So looks like Roger will eventually have a kid if the future is the same. Congratulations! So once again, that's Space Quest 5. If you've enjoyed this, or just even the playthroughs, please click like, subscribe, share, tell other people, post it on social media. I would love you for it. I'd love to get more viewers watching these videos because it does take time, but it's also a project of love. Thanks, everyone. Until next time, quest on!